Planning matters?
Not a lot has changed. The one application for the effectively the deletion of the agricultural occupancy condition at Dunham Farm has been approved. In essence, that means that Cheshire East have accepted that the occupation of the house without complying with a condition restricting it to agricultural workers has been going on for more than 10 years, and then it is therefore lawful. And the other one that's been approved is the variation of conditions in terms of some of the detailed design of the conversion of the barn on Hall Lane. I don't think anything else much has happened on any of the other items.
Anyone got any comments, or are we just okay to move on?
Just the one on the dubbed out.
Yeah.
That's on actually. That's on the.
Oh, sorry.
On the agenda.
Are we still reminding Cheshire East each month that we
I will send it on.
haven't had a response?
Okay, 8.1, consider the update on planning applications received and other planning matters.
Yes, I had. We submitted objections to the licensing application. I then had an email via Cheshire East, which included the applicant, quite a long email from the applicants, together with a plan showing how the traffic arrangements will work. And essentially, what they're saying is it's not as bad as we think it's going to be. Essentially, that the two operators have some experience in organising festivals of this type. They're related to this dubbed out thing, which is classic Volkswagens and camper vans, and that's what the whole festival is around. Family festival. It's not just an adults only, as it were, festival. They've tried to arrange the accessing and the egressing from the site to avoid. Particularly to avoid lots of people leaving the site at the end of the day, going through up Pitmere Lane, down Pitmere Lane. So they've made some comments which I think are helpful in providing additional information. Cheshire East said that there is to be a hearing into the licence application on the 12th of December, so any objectors can appear there before the licensing committee to explain their objections. There is no requirement that anyone has to appear, and so I think with that additional information, it's open to council either to make a further comment back to Cheshire East in whatever form, or to leave the comments as they are.
I think, for me, I think we do need to feedback to them the fact that this is an additional show, that there are residents who are concerned about the additional impact on their lives and the noise, and that Cheshire East need to take that into account. I also think that we need to maybe follow that up and try and find out how many days they are actually holding events, because it's just such a grey area, and I think we need to make sure that they are actually keeping to the number of days that they should be. So that's just sort of some thoughts. Sarah?
I think that the information they gave was really helpful to confirm about day-to-give vehicles. No traffic would be passing local residents or villages of Tabley, Pitmere or Wincham. They said that they've got a team of stewards and a professional security company for traffic management. It's just to make sure that those things are actually delivered,
But
and they went on to say that they'd personally spoken to all of the property owners around the perimeter of the show ground, with no way of.
I still think we need to write them just to sort of.
What was the
make the point?
What was the gist of your reply originally, Jack? Was it on noise and traffic?
Really, concerned about noise and traffic and people leaving the site all at once. And
so nothing's really changed, does it? I mean, they just said
it's going to be controlled.
They say it's really well controlled.
We're not the arbiter about whether the licence gets granted or not.
No. But perhaps one of the pieces of feedback is that this additional data talks about traffic management,
It does.
which is unbelievable naive, isn't it? In that saying everything will approach via junction 19, and nothing will approach from the south, and that everything will leave on a 4-lane road called the A556 without any control over it,
Yeah.
which it brings back to the control that the showground has over this letting of this, because that's not what they normally do for the Cheshire Show. They do not have vehicles leaving in both directions onto the A556. And they don't accept that everything is going to travel from the north via junction 19. So this is not in, it seems it's not joined up to me with the showground and what Cheshire East have done before.
The other thing that
they're
seems a
all
bit
going to-
strange to me is that if all of this information has now been provided to us, why wasn't it actually as part of the licence application in the first
I don't know.
instance?
Exactly.
The other thing you've got, which I think we need to take into account, is that whilst there will be a steady flow coming in, you've then got the event, and when the event finishes, when its curfew hits, you've then got all the people leaving, and they will be leaving at the same time. So I think this is where we sort of need to, as I said, make them aware that it's still a concern for residents who are living nearby, and indeed for those who are going to be impacted by the traffic. But I still think we need to write back to them making those points.
We can foresee several potential issues, and
Yeah.
we just need to make sure they've been noted.
I
Yeah.
think we're happy with that for Jack, just to get back to them, sort of reinforce those points.
Yep.
And on the same topic, I did mention last time that I spoke to a representative of the showground who said he's happy to talk to parish council or have a meeting with representatives of the parish council if we were minded to do so. We thought it would be useful.
Would that answer your question then, that you could ask him?
It's probably too.
Well, I think-
it's probably
Oh,
too
no,
soon to do
not for
this.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but you-
That would be useful. But I think it would also be useful to maybe ask a few of the people who are actually affected who'd come along. I know.
Well,
For
you just
instance,
publicise it in the normal way, wouldn't you?
yeah, and we could ask them if they'd like. But I think we would have to say, would you mind if a few of the local residents that are directly affected by this come along to ask you questions?
So how do you see that? So we'd invite him to a parish council meeting and have half an hour.
Does it
perhaps
have to
with
be a
him.
parish council?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't have to be. So
No, maybe a half-hour meeting.
just a meeting in the village
Yeah,
hall
yeah.
of representatives of the parish council and the immediate neighbours.
Do we know what prompted the hearing, Jack? Do we have any?
Well, I think because the objections were still there, probably, or
Oh, right, okay.
whether there's a threshold, some threshold above which they say we must have a hearing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
I think the music till 11 is still a concern. They likened it to the Cheshire Show, but the Cheshire Show doesn't have music till 11, so there's no
But
comparison.
for an event like that, though, that's standard, isn't it? 11 o'clock.
It probably is, yes. I think it's just new for us, isn't it?
Right. Thank you. Any more on that? No. Right. Alison, neighbourhood plan,
Yeah,
please.
so following the further discussion of the steering group and our consultant Lucy Hughes, we're becoming clearer on the potential chapters for the plan, although this is subject to further consideration by the whole working group, obviously. The sections as they are emerging could therefore be the local economy, provision of broadband in the parish, nature, where many facets impinge on Pickmere, design of future small built developments in the parish. If there's any more of those come up, we can have a say in how they should be designed. Sustainable transport for the parish, drainage, which we were all concerned about, but which actually, when explained, includes consideration of local road flooding, which does occur in Pickmere, which I haven't thought about that. We were thinking of general flooding and the lake and what have you, but clearly that wasn't that. Green policies, very close to many people's hearts, and actually the possibility of including, although it isn't directly covered by the local plan, but the impacts of HS2 on our local environment. Both its impact in the long term, but importantly its impacts while construction is proceeding, that we should be able to put that into our neighbourhood plan. And the working group will have to consider all of these aspects as the plan process moves forward. So dates have been circulated for the next meeting of the working group, which is likely to include a discussion of information about the history of Pickmere. And the working group still has several vacancies for resident representatives, and will have to consider how to proceed to fill those. And personally, I've attended the first of further two online courses run by Chalk, of which the first touched on the difference between the neighbourhood plan and other Cheshire East plans. And it became extremely interesting to note that local plans, there's sort of a myth that, two myths really. One, that local plans, neighbourhood plans are rewritten every 5 years, or that they're never rewritten. Well, I can categorically confirm that they are rewritten on a very regular basis, because the local plan is rewritten and reviewed on a very regular basis, and Cheshire East's local plan, which has only just been published, is already back under review. And therefore any neighbourhood plans that have been written will have to be reviewed and rewritten, because they may not meet the neighbourhood, the local plan anymore. So it's a rolling programme, it's not something that's cast in stone. So that's just a brief synopsis of where we are now.
That's great. I suspect it's a little bit easier to do the rewriting than to do the original.
Yeah, it can take years, these things. I'm beginning to learn that. I wasn't under any illusion. I wasn't under any illusion. I don't think any of us were.
Yellow lines, I think we've got the report there and we've pretty much covered everything. I don't think we need to say much more on that, to be honest with you. We've all noted, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think I was right in thinking that with regard to yellow lines, Cheshire East said they might be able to put something in the budget for next year with a view to spending it in 2024.
The whole thing is held up because before they can think about yellow lines, they would have to do their own parking surveys, which they can only do next summer. And the officer said that he's trying to get some money in their budget to be able to carry out those surveys.
Yeah.
And after that,
Not to do the lines.
not to do the lines. So it'll be after that they then have to decide whether to repaint the yellow lines or whether to.
Information for it's a long
Optioneering.
time.
What does that mean?
Choose your prioritising.
Oh, I see.
But essentially,
What that means.
we'll same as with the monthly thing, we'll keep on to them. And just in addition, I mean, Josh, who's the highways guy, is actually, you can communicate with him and he is interested in doing things.
Yes, I saw the reply he gave, yeah.
He's just stuck by the system. Okay.
And Kate is also working on our behalf,
Yes, she is.
continuing to.